Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Manitoba Female Hockey League podcast on GShow Productions for episode 3. I'm your host, Graham, the GShow Forsyth. We are brought to you by Make Canada Fasteners and Tools. Be sure to visit your local store locations of Make Canada Fasteners and Tools in Brandon and Winnipeg today. Be sure to also check out their website at makecanadafasteners.shop. Also brought to you by Terrico, serving Manitoba producers for over 80 years. Be sure to visit their website at gshow.ca to check out all the great products that they carry for producers in the agricultural industry. And we're also brought to you by Goaltenders, your goalie's personal video review service. For more information, visit Gordy Tumilson's website at gordytumilsongoalies.ca. He's the one running that show over there, doing a pretty good job of it. But yeah, as you guys may be able to tell or maybe not, I am sick still. I was planning on doing a bunch of stuff over the weekend, but didn't end up doing it because I was feeling under the weather in terms of producing content. That is, excited to have this episode airing on this Tuesday night. I know we missed last week. We only got one guest joining the show this week. It's Sienna Price of the Winnipeg Avros. And speaking of the Winnipeg Avros, taking a look at the standings, they have now climbed up to third place with a 5-1 record, 1 point clear of the Eastman Selects. They ended up beating the Westman Wildcats this past weekend 5-2. Of course, seeing over there the Winnipeg Ice, the number one team in the league, beating the Eastman Selects by a score of 1-0 in a low-scoring affair. But I had a chance to ask team captain Sienna Price about the experience of playing last season, coming into this season with some familiar faces as well as some new faces, as the Avros have about 8 rookies, 9 returning players on this year's team. What playing together so much already so soon is meant for this Avros team's early season success, and more with Avros captain number 6 Sienna Price here on the MFHL Podcast. Joining me on this edition of the MFHL Podcast is Sienna Price, number 6 forward, second-year player of the Winnipeg Avros, and their team captain for this year. Sienna, the team came away with a huge weekend of wins, 5-0 against the Central Plains Capitals and 9-2 against the Pembina Valley Hawks. Talk about what went into the success, in your opinion, this past weekend.
I think it started off with a lot of success on our tournaments that we've been having. In Detroit, we brought home 4th, and in Minneapolis, we had a 4-0 record with like a bunch of goal difference. So I think that kind of set us up for this weekend.
You know, speaking of that, the team's played a lot of games so far this year, 25 in total. There's a lot of new faces, a good chunk of returning players. How huge have these games have been to bond with each other and to get better as time has gone along?
Yeah, it's been a great experience so far. Yeah, we have 8 new rookies this year, but they fit into the team really nice. So we've been able to bond pretty close with a lot of traveling and a lot of practices.
Could you talk about how you feel like it's been reflecting into how the team is playing? You feel like there's been a lot of success due to that?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of chemistry between a lot of us already, which I think is really helpful in our success.
You know, you're one of 9 returning players to this year's team. There's been a lot of impact in terms of rookie success, but how would you say that the returning players have been able to step up and be the leaders of this year's group?
We have a good group of leaders, good group of graduating girls. We all kind of know like the way the league works, the way the team likes to work. So we're able to lead by example for all these new rookies.
For you, you get to wear the C this season. I'm not sure how much it does mean to you, but what was that like being named this year's captain, taking over for Wisner last year, who wore the C in your rookie season?
It's a pretty good feeling. I'm glad I get to lead this group of girls, so it's pretty exciting.
How would you describe yourself as a leader out there in terms of how Sienna Price conducts herself both on the ice and off the ice as the captain?
I think I lead by example a lot of the time. I put a lot of effort into all my practices, games, and I think that's a good example for girls, especially some rookies coming into a new league. It's a new level for them. I think it's good that they can see kind of what it's like.
For you, you of course had a chance to step into this league last year as a rookie. What was it like coming to a team that had a good chunk of returning players and getting situated with a culture that is the Winnipeg Gabbers, which is a very family-like approach?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different than U15. It's a lot more competitive, but it's a lot of fun, especially because you're with the team a lot more. So you get to know the girls a lot better.
Yeah, what was that like, being the new player and being able to fit in with that group as the season went along?
It was a little intimidating at first since everybody knew each other except for a few of us, but I got pretty close with a lot of the rookies with me, but some of the returning players too, who helped me kind of get used to all the team and stuff.
Could you take me and the viewers through how you felt your progression went last season in terms of the player you were coming into the league to the player you felt you would become at the end of the season in your rookie year?
I felt like I improved a lot, not just like on the ice, but also off the ice. My confidence grew a lot from the start, or from the start of the year to the end of the year, just from playing all the games we did, all the traveling. I felt like I was transformed into like a new player, which like in a better way, and I felt that carried into this year a lot, which has helped me too.
Could you talk about what you feel your biggest strength is as a player in terms of what you felt truly developed?
My speed. I have a lot of speed when I play, and I think that has developed a lot, and I think that's one of my main strengths on the ice.
I was reading up on the stats. It said you played 27 regular season games last year on the MFHL website, but only one playoff game. What was that, an error? Did something happen for you to only play one game?
Yeah, in our second last regular season game before playoffs, I collided with another girl on the ice and I broke my wrist.
Hmm.
So I was out for all of playoffs last year.
That's unfortunate, and I mean a devastating blow to you, I'm sure. As a player wanting to get on the ice and to help her team in any way she can. But how did you personally handle the experience of, dealing with not being able to play and rehabbing and staying positive through the recovery?
Um, it was a tough process. It was a long process. I was in a cast for almost 2 months, but I still went to a lot of the practices and the games because I wanted to stay close with the girls, even though I couldn't play with them. So I think that's what helped me a lot too to get through it all, is knowing that I could still be a part of the team even if I wasn't playing.
Would you say in, an odd way, because obviously you weren't playing and getting better, but did you feel like maybe this injury was maybe a benefit to you maturing as a player, building some mental toughness, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it helped me a lot, especially with the mental toughness and just to kind of appreciate hockey a bit more. That sometimes things don't go your way, but you can still grow from it.
Have you felt like maybe a different player this season, having not only the confidence from last year when you were playing, but also having that newfound mental toughness in terms of a different outlook on the game?
Yeah, I feel like I can play a lot stronger. I can stay more confident. I don't get down on myself as quick, and I think that's helped me a lot.
Going back to last season, one last time here, you still had a chance to obviously go to the games, go to the practices and stuff to watch this team in their final months together. Lost in the semifinals last year to the Winnipeg Ice. But for this Winnipeg Avers team, what do you feel like from the group talking to them for the returning players this year, learned from that run last year and the shortcomings of it?
Um, I think we all have to work like as hard as we did last year, or even harder, to get past the semis this year. I think we all want to make it to the finals this year, so I think we're all willing to put in the work and the extra work that there is to go there.
What's been the big message that your head coach Ashley Van Aglen has instilled in this year's team? Obviously, a head coach that's been there through many Avers losses of not trying to get over the hump. Did she have any type of words of inspiration or advice heading into this year to set this group on the right track?
A big part of it is growing connections. I think she's a big person on connection. She wants us to be close with each other. She wants to be close with us, which I think is helping a lot. We're able to build good chemistry.
Off to a fantastic start, putting that all into consideration. I mean, 4-1, currently around the middle part of the standings, but a team that's played the least games out of any team in the MFHL so far this year, almost the most goals for at 23, and almost the least goals against at 7. But talk about how huge this is for the team's confidence to be able to start off like this, as this season is going to go along.
I think it's a good start for us. It's definitely going to build our foundation for us. Yeah, we're about the middle of the league right now, but we have the least games. So I think that kind of shows like if we keep playing the way we are, we should be able to progress.
5 of the 6 top scorers from last year's team are gone due to aging out, but returning players in Lazat and Hakulak are off to great starts. Rio Pierre has been super impressive, and yourself, you've been almost a point per game. How nice has it been to see the skill level of this year's team being able to fill some big shoes of players who were there last year that aren't anymore?
Yeah, we have returning players and rookies who are able to fill those pretty quick, and they do a well job of it. Kind of everyone has a role, and we've all been able to fill the roles pretty well. So I think it's working pretty well so far.
This team seems like they can beat teams in many different ways, whether it's putting up a high amount of goals or shutting things down defensively. Could you describe or speak about what you feel makes this year's Avros team such a threat to play against, a tough test for any team out there?
We like to play as a team a lot. We like to move the puck. We like to work together, and I think that's going to be a threat to teams because sometimes when teams start to break down, they get individual, but we're able to stay pretty much as a team through the whole game.
Obviously there's championship aspirations for this year's team. You girls, seem like you have the skill to potentially do that this season. What is the message or the process, to not looking too far ahead though, even though it's still so early on in the season, having this much success to focus on the present to get the best results this average team can?
Yeah, I think we just have to take it one step at a time, work towards like our small goals towards before we can work towards our bigger goals.
For you, could you let us into what one of those small goals are for you in terms of an individual aspect as well as a team aspect?
As a team, we like to take it each period at a time. We like to focus on the period that we're in instead of focusing on the period that's ahead of us. And same for me personally, I like to do it like one shift at a time. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself or get too far behind either. So I just like to stay in the present.
Well, in this league, any team can beat anyone on a given night, depending on who's ready to play or not. I'm sure you girls are going to be prepared for a big upcoming matchup against the Westman Wildcats team that lost 2 in a row this past weekend. Going up against a team that's going to be hungry, coming out to win, riding off of a 2-game winning streak. How is this Avers team preparing for the upcoming matchup against what should be a tough Wildcats opponent?
Yeah, we're preparing well. We're gonna have 2 practices and a workout this week, so I think we'll be ready to face them. I hope we have a good game. I think we will. We always show up to play.
Well, best of luck in that game coming up this weekend, Sienna. I want to thank you for coming on and taking the time to do this interview with me. And hopefully this Avers team can continue to see success this season coming up.
Yeah, thank you.
Sienna Price, number 6 and team captain of the Winnipeg Avros, also a second-year forward, joined me on this edition of the MFHL Podcast for episode 3, brought to you by McKenna Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders. And yeah, if we take a look at the standings again, the Avros, they've been on a climb in the standings. Not only are they 5-1, but they're the highest scoring offensive team so far this season, or not offensive team, but highest scoring team in general with 28 goals. In terms of their goals against, they've been pretty good in their own end as well in keeping the puck out of their net with their goaltending, with only 9 goals against in 6 games so far in the 2022-20 or the 2023-2024 season. Coming up after the next transition, we're going to get into some Team Manitoba talk as 9 MFHL players are representing the province at a tournament that is happening right now. We'll get you the details coming up here on the MFHL podcast, as well as giving you guys some more MFHL results and news. Welcome back to this edition of the MFHL Podcast, of course, brought to you by Make Canada Fasteners and Tools. Visit your locations of Make Canada Fasteners and Tools shops today at Brandon or in Winnipeg, or also visit their website at makecanadafasteners.shop to check out all of their great products before you decide to go in their store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg before making a purchase. Also brought to you by Terrico, serving Manitoba producers for over 80 years in the agricultural business. Visit terrico.ca to visit and check out their great products. And of course, we're brought to you by Goaltenders, your goalie's personal video review service. Check out GordyTumbleSonGoalies.ca for more information on what is offered there, which is basically a one-on-one Zoom call in terms of goaltending meeting that way, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, in terms of the MFHL representing Team Manitoba, get to it right now. Playing in the National Women's U18 Championship are 9 players from the Manitoba Female Hockey League. As you can see there in goal, 2 goalies that are playing for Manitoba, both being from the MFHL, in Rachel Halderson and Elise Denbo. Denbo of the Capitals and Halderson of the Lightning. On defense, Brianne Compte and Hallie Franklin there for the MFHL representing this league. Compte for the Winnipeg Ice, and of course Franklin for the Westman Wildcats. The Ice have 2 forwards, as you can see there, in Haley Braun and Stephanie Jacob. Jacob is actually wearing an A this season, not this season, but this tournament for Team Manitoba, so congratulations to her. The 2 Westman Wildcats players there, as you can see, in Carlin Goods and Kelsey Hybers. So congratulations to both of them. Brandon products coming from that part of the province in Manitoba. And of course, for the Yellowhead Chiefs, Hannah Ray, team captain, and Dara Thompson, another big-time offensive player, both getting selections. So congratulations to these 9 players from the MFHL, and also congratulations to Riley Sievstrup, goaltending coach of the Central Plains Capitals, and to Kira Bannatyne, video coach of the Winnipeg Avros, for being selected on staff positions to this year's National Women's U18 Championship Tournament, which is being played in Dawson Creek, British Columbia. It started yesterday. It's ending on Remembrance Day, so this Saturday. And to get you guys up to speed with what went down for Team Manitoba earlier today, they ended up losing 6-3 to Team Ontario Red. Elise Denbo ended up getting the start, made 24 saves on 30 shots that she faced. Team Manitoba put up the offense for the amount of goals that they put up, all things considering, in terms of putting up a good amount of offense, 3 goals on 14 shots. So find ways to get into those quality areas some more, find ways to get more pucks on net, and crash for those rebounds, and good things could happen for Team Manitoba in this tournament. They got some good talent from the MFHL, but things aren't going to be easy, as it's usually a tournament with a lot of good competition. Team Manitoba's taking on Team BC coming up in about 10 minutes, I think, at this point. Maybe the game's already underway. Can't really keep track with the time change that happened in Manitoba yesterday, but both teams coming off of a loss, looking to get into the win column. Go Tobago, as it said on the graphic. Wishing the girls, and especially those 9 players from the MFHL, all the best in this game coming up soon against Team BC tonight, as well as moving forward in this tournament. Hoping Team Manitoba can somehow bring home a medal, but things will be tough, as I said. Yeah, so in the MFHL, if we take a look at more of the point leaders, taking a look, we'll just adjust this, so yeah, there we go. That's better. But take a look at the goaltending stats first. We don't see any of the Team Toba goaltenders in here, since both of their teams are last in the MFHL in terms of ranking 7th and 8th, and that's the Interlake Lightning. Actually, we'll bring up those standings once again. Taking a look at it, the Winnipeg Ice, after their win, they have now grabbed sole possession of first place in the MFHL standings. Yellowhead is 2 points behind them with a 6-2 record. Of course, the Avros 1 point ahead of the Eastman Selects. The Selects so close to moving into third place if they were able to get it done against the Ice, but they couldn't. The Westman Wildcats, they're now on a 3-game losing streak at 4-5 with 8 points. The Pembina Valley Hawks, 2 points behind them in 6th place with 6 points for themselves with a 3-5 record. And Interlake Lightning, not quite last place, but struggling by the record, 1-4-1, 3 points compared to Central Plains, who is 0-7, still winless on the year. But yeah, getting back into the goaltending stats right now in terms of best win-loss record, you can see there it's Natalie Rampton just ahead of Laura Melissa. Both these goaltenders have put up fantastic save percentages as well this year. Rampton has turned away 172 shots on 183 saves, which is pretty impressive. Laura Melissa has only let in 4 goals. Both these goaltenders with 2 shutouts each. Bailey Grunwald also with 2 shutouts for the Ice and an undefeated record. .969 save percentage too, which is very impressive. Addison Tomes and Danica Averill also in the top 5 for wins in the league for goaltenders. 4 for Tomes and 3 for Averill, and both with over 900 save percentages as well. Tomes with a shutout on her season too to go along with her statistics. And yeah, also taking a look at the player stats brought to you by Terrico, as you can see. But yeah, it's Stephanie Jacob going to be a huge part of any success team Manitoba has up front. She'll be looking to be at least in the National Women's Championship tournament, but fantastic start to her season, looking to carry this over to Team Manitoba for them to have success. 15 points in 7 games played, as you can see there. She is also in the lead for goals in the MFHL with 10. Rounding out the top 5 in points is Hannah Ray with 12 and 8 for the Yellowhead Chiefs. Their captain, of course, Mackenzie Lizotte and Celine Wozni, both tied at 11 points for the third place Winnipeg Avros. And Dara Thompson, Team Manitoba representative too, out of this bunch where there's 3 of them, Jacob and Ray, along with Thompson. Thompson having 10 points so far in 8 games played, big time goal scorer, 8 goals and 2 assists, making up those 10 points. We are going to take one last transition here in this edition of the MFHL podcast, brought to you by Terrico, as well as goaltenders and McKenna fasteners and tools. I'll be back to preview what's ahead this weekend coming up in the Manitoba Female U18 AAA Hockey League here on GShow Productions. And welcome back to this edition of the MFHL podcast, brought to you, of course, by Terrico, McKenna fasteners and tools, and goaltenders. Hoping that Team Manitoba can go out and get the win tonight in BC and Dawson Creek, as they'll be taking on Team BC. Both teams 0-4 as they start off their tournament with a loss at 0-1. And yeah, fantastic experience for all of the players in the MFHL to get. Hoping that they can bring home a valuable experience to help out their teams when they return. And yeah, just taking a look at the past scores once again. The Ice were without players in Brienne Compte and Haley Braun, as well as Jacobs in that, Jacob that is, in that win against the Eastman Selects, only 1-0, proves how good this Winnipeg Ice team can be, still defending with some top players out, getting the needed goal that they needed exactly to win that game in the third period final frame of regulation on Sunday. But in terms of what's up next in the MFHL, in terms of what is to come, if we take a look at the schedule going along here. So yeah, coming up on the 11th, there's only going to be one game. There's no games on Thursday or Friday. There's the one single game on Remembrance Day night between the Westman Wildcats and the Eastman Select, 7 p.m. puck drop in Niverville. Eastman looking to keep up their success against a Westman Wildcats team that is going to be looking to bounce back and get out of a 3-game losing streak that they are currently on. The Westman Wildcats and Winnipeg Avros will be facing off against each other at the Seven Oaks Iceplex, or the Seven Oaks Sportsplex. Seven Oaks Arena is what it's called on this website on MFHL. U18AAA.com. It's funny, I actually reported that this game already happened, but it did not. The Winnipeg Avros, of course, will be heading into this game looking to go 2-0 on the season series early against the Westman Wildcats in this 2023-2024 season. The Avros will be 5-1 heading into that matchup to end off Sunday's action and this week's action in the MFHL. The Interlake Lightning will be in Niverville to take on the Eastman Selects at 7:15 p.m. Central Time. Interlake, not sure if they'll have Halderson back or not, but this is a team that will be looking to pull off an upset against the Eastman Selects, looking for their second win of the season. And of course, for the Eastman Selects, they'll be looking to come out of this weekend coming up with a 2-0 record to further their spot in the upper half of the MFHL standings, as they are currently in the top 4 in this year's play so far. But yeah, it's been an exciting season so far of MFHL hockey. When you take a look at the top teams, the Winnipeg Ice, defending champs, off to a strong start. No championship hangover with that squad. The Yellowhead Chiefs, the most experienced team in the league on paper, with some big-time players back. They are, only 2 points behind the Winnipeg Ice to start off this season. If things went differently a weekend ago for them, they could potentially be 7-0 as well, along with the Winnipeg Ice. The Winnipeg Avros, a team that has searched so long for a championship. A lot of good returning players and some really good new ones benefiting this team, most notably in Wozni and Rio Pierre. Rio Pierre, that is. The Eastman Selects. This is a team that has surprised to start off this season. 4-3-1. Are they going to keep things up? Are the Westman Wildcats going to continue to be on this losing streak? As it's currently at 3. The Pembina Valley Hawks, what does their season have in store after starting off with a positive record, now at 3-5? The Interlake Lightning and Central Plains Capitals. Interlake playing this weekend could potentially have Halderson back, maybe not, but this is a team that has, lost some games by decisive fashion, but has also been in some games. The biggest question I have is, when is the Central Plains Capitals team going to win a hockey game this season? Does Elise Denbo end up raising her game even more so down the line for this team to start stealing games and winning? Where does their offense come into play? I'm very excited to see what's going to happen in this MFHL season, because the season is still very young. Just about 20 games left for almost all of these teams in the league. It's going to be really exciting to see how things end up going. We're going to be streaming games as soon as we possibly can. We've ran into so many technical difficulties, but it's going to be a really fun season of MFHL coverage, and I can't wait to continue it next week on Monday night. We are going to take one more quick transition, and I'll be back for some final words on this edition of the MFHL Podcast, brought to you by goaltenders, as you just saw, Terrico and McCann Fasteners and Tools. Stay tuned, everybody. Well, you made it to the end of this edition of the MFHL Podcast, and before we end things off, I just want to get into the Week 5 players of the week. It was Celine Wozny, who ended up having 6 points in 2 wins. So this is from a week ago. Celine Wozny, 6 points in 2 games against the Pembina Valley Hawks and the Central Plains Capitals, and Rachel Halderson performing strongly heading into her games that she will be playing in at the National Women's Championships. 50 of 51 shots stopped last week in Interlake's first victory of the season over the Eastman Selects. So just wanted to shout that out. You guys can check out all the information like that, like I just read, on MFHLU18AAA.com. But yeah, this is going to do it for this edition of the MFHL podcast. I've been your host, Graham, the GShow Forsyth. Special thanks again to Make Cannon Fasteners and Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Be sure to visit their store locations, of course, in Brandon and Winnipeg today. Also visit their website on the right-hand side of your screen. MidCantonFasteners.shop in Terrico, serving Manitoba producers for over 80 years, as well as Goaltenders, your goalie's personal video review service. Gordy Tummelson, goalies.ca is the place. Check out that for more information. Special thanks to Sienna Price, captain of the Winnipeg Avros, for coming on the show and being a guest. And special thanks to you, the viewer, for tuning into this edition of the MFHL podcast. Next week is going to be fun. A new blog article is going to be dropping for the MFHL. A new episode is going to be dropping as well at 9 p.m. Central Time, all on GShow Productions, either on YouTube or on our website at gshow.ca. Be sure to check out our social media pages, all the handles down below in the description of this episode to keep posted with when and what the details of this episode are going to be for next week for episode 4. But yeah, until then, folks, I've been your host of the MFHL podcast, Graham, the GShow Forsyth. Go Team Manitoba, wishing them the best of luck tonight against BC, and of course moving forward in the National Women's Championships. Enjoy the MFHL hockey coming your way this weekend, folks. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Stay safe out there, and for now, it's Graham the GShow Forsyth giving you the salute. Peace and out to Insane. So long, everybody. Take care.